Now, paywalling isn't exactly a new gaming trend at this point. I mean, for years, publishers have been carving features out of games and selling them to players separately in the pursuit of making some extra money. But sometimes these paywalls come out of nowhere and you're just left thinking, ew, gross, and also, what? So let's have a chat about them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 AAA video game paywalls that came out of nowhere. Number 10, Eddie Gordo, Tekken 8. Though Eddie Gordo is something of a polarising fighter among the die-hard Tekken fandom due to how casual-friendly he is, that's also precisely why he's so popular with less skilled players. His balletic, capoeira-inspired fighting style is a joy to watch and, if we're being honest, hilariously easy to pull off with rampant button mashing. Love him or hate him though, Eddie has been a staple of the franchise since his introduction in Tekken 3, more than 25 years ago. So many eyebrows were raised when Namco made the decision to nudge Eddie out of the main roster for Tekken 8 and instead relegate him to DLC duty, taking one of the series' most recognisable and casual skewing characters and making them a paid extra swiftly soured many fans. By charging £8 to purchase Eddie separately, Namco were accused of greedily nickel and diming loyal fans for every last drop, and it was tough to argue with that assessment. Number 9. Improved Fast Travel, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. When the high-definition remaster of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword was released for the Nintendo Switch in 2021, it launched with a vastly improved fast travel system, which no longer required players to slog their way to specific points in order to use that feature, and now could do it from anywhere. However, because we just can't have nice things, Nintendo decided to gate this newfangled fast travel functionality behind a Zelda and Loftwing amiibo figurine, which cost a whopping $25 at launch. While improved fast travel isn't a must-have feature in Skyward Sword, it is absolutely a welcome quality of life addition, and totally not something which Nintendo should have felt emboldened to lock behind a sizable paywall. Despite the internet kicking off about the decision, however, Nintendo seemed to hold firm and largely ignore the controversy, so enhanced fast travel remains, unfortunately sealed behind a plastic toy. Number 8. Auto-claim business earnings, Grand Theft Auto Online. Nintendo aren't the only ones to charge extra for basic quality of life features though. The money printing operation that is Grand Theft Auto Online has always made it weirdly awkward to collect cash that is earned from your businesses, forcing you to physically visit each location and pick it up. Fans have been requesting the ability to instantly collect earnings for years, and last summer, Rockstar finally rolled the feature out, albeit only to members of the game's GTA Plus subscription service, which costs $7.99 a month. To call the fan base pissed off was quite the understatement. Given that Grand Theft Auto 5 and its online component have generated an eye-watering $8.6 billion since launch in 2013, could Rockstar really have not just thrown fans a bone and give them this feature without requiring a recurring payment? Anger aside, it left many speculating just how aggressive the monetization practices will be in the upcoming Grand Theft Auto 6, so brace yourselves. Number 7. Changing your hair color, Dead or Alive 6. Here's a skin-crawling act of paywalling that makes almost everything else on this list seem kind of halfway reasonable. A year after Dead or Alive 6 launched, Koei Tecmo introduced the ability for those playing the PS4 version of the game to change your character's hair color, and dared to charge people for that pleasure. Players needed to use the game's paid premium ticket currency in order to change a fighter's hair color, with each change costing $1 a pop, and worse still, you'd need to pay again to revert back to a hair color you'd already purchased. Fans held nothing back in telling Tecmo, not so politely on social media, how greedy they found the practice, prompting the publisher to apologise and issue a patch several weeks later. This patch made all the hair unlocks permanent and refunded tickets to all players who'd spent them on their new hair colours. All the same, it's a testament to what fresh nonsense video game publishers will try to get away with, and this one is well worth remembering. Number 6. Seasons and Weather, The Sims 4. Now, in fairness, fans of The Sims should absolutely be used to being bled dry by EA at this point, given the Life Sim series' tendency to charge extra for basically anything but the most bare-bones gameplay functionality. Case in point, one of the first paid expansions for The Sims 4 was Seasons, which, for a bargain price of $20, introduced seasons and weather to the game. Even accepting that both The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 had their own seasonal expansions, many fans have long held the opinion that something as even literally elemental as the seasons should be part of the base launch experience rather than a premium premium extra. While other DLC additions such as pets and university life make a little more sense as they're not quite fundamentally part of the human sim experience, it's shamelessly cheeky to charge for something as simple as the changing of the seasons and dynamic weather. Number 5, an ending that actually made sense. Fallout 3. Fallout 3 is such a brilliant game, which makes it that much more baffling how awkwardly Bethesda fumbled it at the finish line, with an ending that was so bad they had to rectify it with DLC, and of course, charge you for it too. In the main game's final mission, you're given 2 choices: expose yourself to a fatal dose of radiation in order to save the day, or let your pal Sarah Lyon sacrifice herself instead. It's a deeply daft ending, given that your radiation-immune buddy, Forks, and all your robot pals could quite easily do it themselves without dying, and yet, if you approach them to do the deed, they'll say something about not wanting to deprive you of your destiny and blah 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 blah. Fans caused enough of a stink that Bethesda remedied this with an actual logical ending in the Broken Steel DLC, which allowed Forks to do the sensible thing and save the day. But of course, players had to spend $10 on that DLC, so basically you're spending that money to end your game in a way that wasn't totally laughable. Cheers. Number 4, online multiplayer, Battlefield 3. In the early 2010s, many video game publishers began introducing online passes in an apparent attempt to combat piracy. Basically, a new copy of the game shipped with a free online pass, allowing you to play the multiplayer portions of the game for free. However, if you sold the game or loaned it to a friend, they would need to purchase their own online pass for £10 in order to access said multiplayer modes. It was blatantly obvious that publishers such as EA used the boogeyman of piracy to target the second-hand market and effectively punish anyone who didn't buy their games brand new. The online pass proved especially irksome for fans of the Battlefield franchise, with many players who bought Battlefield 3 pre-owned coming to learn that they'd need to fork out an extra wad of cash for the part of the game that most people actually want to play. Thankfully, online passes were ultimately a short-lived concept, largely due to negative player feedback, the general decline in physical video game sales, and platform holders such as Sony expressly forbidding online passes from the PS4 onward. Number 3, premium fatalities, Mortal Kombat 1. Fatalities are the literal lifeblood of the Mortal Kombat franchise, because if those gory, hilariously over-the-top finishing moves were absent, it just wouldn't feel quite right. And while the series' most recent entry, Mortal Kombat 1, retained its signature array of brutal fatalities, Warner Bros. Was torn to shreds shortly after release for daring to charge extra for a seasonal, Halloween-themed fatality. In October 2023, the fatality was released, an admittedly hilarious sequence in which the losing combatant had a pumpkin shoved on their head before said pumpkin head is booted away by the winning player into someone's nearby front door. But because it was asking too much for this 20-second animation to be a cute free addition for the series' most loyal fans, Warner Bros. Wanted to charge £10 for it. Fans were naturally irate, prompting Warner Bros. To give 2 additional seasonal fatalities, themed after Thanksgiving and winter, to those who purchased the Halloween one for free. Moreover, players could now purchase the seasonal fatalities pack containing all 3 fatalities for the same price of £10. Still, we can assume that if the backlash wasn't so loud, the publisher would have charged a full £30 for those 3 fatalities. Number 2, New Game Plus, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. It's quite understandably assumed that if a game features any sort of New Game Plus mode, it's included for free, basically serving as an incentive for those who beat the game to play through it once more with their accrued weapons, items, experience, and so on. But last year, the ironically monikered Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth pulled a hugely cheeky one on their growing fanbase by locking the New Game Plus behind its deluxe and ultimate editions, forcing you to drop at least an extra $15 to access that post-game mode. Given that New Game Plus is just accepted to be a free mode in the vast majority of games, and the Like a Dragon franchise itself has never charged extra for it before in the West, fans were deeply unhappy about this and certainly let Sega know about it. But the vocal outcry does seem to have made an impact, as Sega recently confirmed that the upcoming spin-off Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii will drop its New Game Plus mode as a free update shortly after launch. And number 1, local multiplayer, Skate 3. The first and second Skate games both featured party play modes, where up to 4 players could play together locally in a pass-the-controller multiplayer affair. But when Skate 3 launched in 2010, this feature was conspicuously absent, with only online multiplayer available out of the box. If you figured the developers simply decided local multiplayer wasn't worth their hassle anymore with the undeniable decline of couch co-op over the last decade plus, well, that actually wasn't quite the case. Rather, a few months later, EA revealed that party play had been ripped out of the game and would be sold separately to players as part of the San Van Party Pack DLC. It's never, ever going to be a popular decision when a sequel paywalls features that were just part of the package in previous games, and given that Skate 3 was basically the last truly great AAA skating game, it's all the more depressing that its brilliance was tainted by EA's ultimate greed. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 AAA video game paywalls that came out of nowhere. Hope you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Blue Sky, where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there. Hope you're treating yourself well, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.